Hey guys, welcome to another video. So today I'll be solving LeetCode question 13, Roman to integer. So let's start with the problem statement here. It's a bit long. So Roman numerals are represented by 7 different symbols. For example, 2 is written as II in Roman numeral, just 2 ones added together. 2 is written as XII, which is simply x plus II. So the number 27 is written as XXVII, which is right XX plus V plus II, so 27. Roman numerals are usually written largest to smallest from left to right, so it's going to be in decreasing order. However, the numeral for 4 is not I. Instead, the number 4 is written as IV. Because the 1 is before the 5, we subtract it, making it 4. The same principle applies to the number 9, which is written as IX. There are 6 instances where subtraction is used. So the I can be placed before the V or the X can be placed before the L and the C, and C can be placed before the D and the M. You basically subtract whatever this value is from this, right? Subtract it by 10, and you subtract it by 100. Okay. So given a Roman numeral, convert it to an integer. Okay, so let's look at some of these examples here. So input s is equal to I. Output is 3, which makes sense, right? We're just doing 1 plus 1 plus 1. Okay, the next one here, so s is equal to LVII. It's equal to 58 because L is 50, V is 5, and 3 i's is 3, right? Okay, and then the last example here, we have NCMXCIV. So this is equal to 1994, and that's because M is equal to 1,000, right? So that's this M. Then you have this CM, which is 900, because it's 1,000, and then you subtract it by this 100 here. And then you have XC, so C is 100, but then it's preceded by an X, so then it's minus 10. And then IV, again, same thing, right? V is 5, I is minus 1 because it's in front of it, so then you make it a 4. Constraint, okay. It can only contain these characters that are specified in the problem, and we know that there's also this range for the actual value, so we don't have to worry about sort of extremely large values. Okay, so let's go ahead and copy this into our drawing board. Okay, and we don't need this whole thing. So let's think about the sort of how we're going to approach this. So it states here that Roman numerals are usually in decreasing order, right? So the only time it's not in decreasing order is when we have a subtraction. So let's just take this for example. So we have this one here, and so basically so the approach that we can go with is we start at the first symbol here, and we basically check is it preceded by a number that will make it not in decreasing order. So basically, is the number that follows it bigger than this one? And in this case, it's not, right? So we know that we have 1,000 here. And then the next one here is a C. So we're at this next value here, C. And is this one, is the number in front of it bigger? Yes, it is. So this C will actually be a subtraction, right? So we'll subtract 100 here instead. So, okay. And then next we look at the m here. M, the one that we have an x in front of it. X is smaller, right? So we're gonna add 1,000, and we can just go through the whole thing. So x is followed by c. C is larger, so it will be a -10, and then c is followed by I, and I is smaller, so it's going to be an add here, right? And we just go through the whole thing here, -1, and then +5. Okay, and this will give us the correct answer. So we can also just have some kind of hash table here that translates these characters into their numeric value. And we're going to iterate through this one time, and we're going to do a lookup against that hash map that we create here. But lookup against a hash map is constant time. So it's a constant time lookup, but we'll iterate through all the elements in their input. So the overall runtime will just be O of n. Okay, so that's the approach that we're going to go for, and I think we have everything figured out. So let's go ahead and implement that now. Okay, so here we are. So let's code this up. So first we want to create that hash map. So let's call that basically the Roman to value, and let's just basically let's do this. So I maps to the value 1, and we're going to need this multiple times, so I'm just going to copy and paste here to make it quicker. So we have 2, 4, 6 more. So let's do 1, 3, 4, 5, 6. One more. Okay. And let's go ahead and fill this in here. So V, then we have X, then L, C, D, and M. And here we have 5, 10, 50, 100, 500, and 1,000. Okay. And now this is where we can basically do our loop. So let's have some kind of output here. So we'll return at the end. And here we're going to go ahead and do our loop. So let's see. So we're going to have to index into our hash map. So let's just be safe and use I, which is going to represent the index in range length S. So we're basically going to loop from 0 all the way up to whatever the size of the input string is. So like 1 to 5 or whatever. And now we can basically just do our check. So so if the character that we're currently on, right? So the character that we're currently on is M. So the character that we're currently on is followed by a bigger number, then we'll do a subtraction. So if sorry. Okay. So if the character, so we'll do, so we have our string here, we'll index it with I, and then we'll do value. So we'll grab this value here. Basically we're checking if this current value is less than the next value. Okay. So I plus 1. If it's less than the next value, Then we're going to do a subtraction. So our output is going to be minus equals the current value. Okay. And we also have to make sure we're not out of bounds here, right? So there's one thing we have to check here. So at the very end here, when we're on our very last character, right, we know that this is going to be a plus for sure. So we can just add a check here. So I is less than, so I is in range, right? So I is less than the length of S, I plus 1 here, right? That's going to make sure that we're in range here. And if we're at our last character, then I'll also go to this else statement. It's essentially what that's saying. So otherwise, we'll just do the plus. Right? So this is just following the logic from this from our diagram before. So if the character that we're currently on is followed by a number that's, so the C, if it's followed by a number that's bigger, then we will do a subtraction of this current value that we're on, right? Otherwise, like for example, this M here, the following character is going to be smaller, so we're just going to add this to our output, M to our output, right? And then this statement right here, if we're on our very last character, then we're also just going to go here, we're going to add it, and that's going to be correct because, right, we're not, there's nothing in front of it, so we're not going to subtract this, right? This will be add for sure. Okay, so now let's go ahead and do return output, and let's go ahead and run this against our test cases. Let's do that so you can see the whole code. Let's run this here. Okay, and we passed all of our test cases, and let's go ahead and submit this now. Okay, great. So our code is accepted. Yeah. So if you have any questions, feel free to add them in the comment section below, and I'll try to get to those as quick as I can. And please like and subscribe this video if you enjoyed it. And also add in the comment section below what problems you would like to see next.